Welcome to Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle, where professionals in the field educate, inform and inspire the community to live a more balanced and healthier lifestyle they love. Our first guest today is naturopath, respiratory specialist and published author Julia Rudakova, and she will be talking with us about children's respiratory health. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today.
So what are some of the common children's respiratory health issues?
Well, I see a lot of children in my practice, and most often parents bring their kids with tonsillitis, recurrent coughs, and of course asthma. Asthma is one of the top conditions that I see children for. And what is asthma? Asthma is constriction of airways, really. And the body, when it does that in response to a trigger, it can be an emotional trigger, it can be a chemical trigger, can be viral. There is a physical activity induced asthma. And when that happens, body starts producing mucus as well to safeguard itself, to expel the trigger and to moisten the airways. So it's a very, very natural response of the body. There is no pathology is that. When that happens, it's the body doing its work, protecting itself. Although it seems and sounds and looks terrible to observe your child struggling to breathe. Another common respiratory condition that I see in kids is anything to do with tonsils, adenoids. So they are lymphatic tissues that are located at the back of the throat in the nasal passage, and they are immune tissues. They're lymphatic immune tissues, and it's not uncommon for young children to go through that because their immune system is maturing, and that's quite normal if it becomes a pattern. And if they get recurrent tonsillitis and enlarged adenoid to the point of not being able to breathe for months on end, then we have an issue and we need to address that. But from my perspective, the thing is that even when all the tissues are cut out, all adenoids gone, tonsils are out, what happens, what I observe is that they still breathe through the mouth. They can still snore. They may have initial adjustment and parents are happy and there is an improvement, but then they go back to the pattern, to the original pattern of mouth breathing, and that's not helping their dental health, their emotional health. Children wake up tired, and that's the worst thing, because children by their nature are very energetic. They have so much energy. They need energy to grow, to develop, to grow bones, to multiply cells, and for the brain to develop. And when they lose that, it sets them back. So it comes down to retraining the receptors in the brain, and that's where we use the Buteyko technique.
So can you explain to us what is the Buteyko technique? How does it work?
So it was developed by the late Dr. Buteyko many decades ago, and originally it was used for cardiovascular disease, but then it was trialed for asthma and respiratory disease because it is to do with your lungs and bronchi. And what it does, it teaches the body, again, reteaches, the body has to relearn how to breathe in a more functional way. What does that mean, to breathe in a more functional way? So there is a certain breathing rate that we aim at, and it's about 6 to 8 breaths per minute. So 6 to 10 maximum breaths per minute is our optimal range, right? So it's a slow breathing. It's gentle, so when you sit next to someone, you ideally shouldn't be able to hear them breathe, right? Sometimes it's very audible, our breath. Yeah, you sit to a person at the table in a cafe or at a function and you can hear them breathe. So that's not something that we call functional. The next one is how we breathe. Do we use the nose or the mouth? Right. So with the mouth, if you look at the hole here and here, mouth is much bigger. So we lose more important gases such as carbon dioxide, which is the driver to breathing, not oxygen. So Buteyko technique, what it does, it teaches us to go back to the original blueprint of the healthy breathing. The rate, what organs we use, what muscles we use to breathe, so the diaphragm instead of the chest, nose instead of the mouth, and proper breathing rate, and how we breathe, gentle or forceful. So that's in a nutshell what we do with the functional breathing retraining.
So what would be your advice to parents with kids who have respiratory health issues?
My advice would be to go back to the fundamentals and address their breathing patterns. It's super important, as I said before, to optimize the results of their treatment. And they can start with observing their child's breathing, and when they notice that the lips are slightly open, even if there is no audible breathing through the mouth, but the lips are slightly open, it means that the child is losing certain chemistry. And what they can do, I always say, they can say, close your mouth, but it becomes repetitive and annoying. So what I always say, just find a word like a giraffe and have this game with a child. When you say the word giraffe, it means that they need to close the lips and close the mouth, and that pushes the body to breathe through the nose. So re-establish nasal breathing at all costs is my tip. And of course, we need to go and seek help of a professional naturopathic practitioner or any medical practitioner and get a proper assessment and a proper plan.
Thank you so much for your time, Julia. If you'd like to know more about children's respiratory health issues and Julia, you can visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. Stick around, because after the break, we'll be back with another guest and another interesting topic.